Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today for this Division 8 matchup here between the 11th our Infantry Division and the 48th Royal Tank Regiment. And before we jump into the wonderful match here, I'm going to send it over. We're going to have a little bit of a pre-game speech here from Munchie Squirrel. So with that, let's go ahead and turn it over to Munchie Squirrel and listen to his pre-game speech to pump up his men. Here we go.
This is the group that earned its way into the semifinals. Not because we got lucky, not because someone carried, but because every single one of us showed up when it mattered. And let's not forget, we've seen this team before. We've played them. We beat them. And we didn't squeak by. We controlled that match from start to finish. But hear me clearly, that win doesn't carry over. It just proves something important. We know how to beat them. Semifinals are where teams either grow or get exposed. They've had time to study us, to adjust, to come in hungry. That's fine, because we're not the same team they faced last time either. We're sharper, we're louder, we're more connected. This match isn't about titles yet. It's about proving that what we've built holds up when the pressure's real and the expectations are on us. When things get chaotic, and they will, we don't hesitate. We trust each other. When someone goes down, someone fills the gap. When a push stalls, someone's already calling the next move. Every roll matters. Every fight matters. Momentum stacks fast in games like this. One clean win turns into map control, and map control turns into pressure they can't escape. And the difference this time is confidence. Not arrogance, confidence. We know what works. We know how to take ground from them. And once we do, we don't give it back. They're going to come in hard, trying to change the script. Let them. We stay disciplined, we stay aggressive, and we make them play the same losing game they played last time. Win this, and we earn our place in the finals. Not off reputation, not off past results, but by doing it again when it matters most. So play loud, play confident, play together. We didn't beat them last time by accident, and we're not about to forget how. Let's take this semifinal and move on. Together, forward!
And with that, we will step away from the 11 ID side. Thank you, Mr. Munchie Squirrel, for the motivating words here. Let's hopefully see if that goes and pays off for your squad here as 11th ID takes on the 48th. All right, so with that, I am your host today, Night Falcon. Very happy to be here with you guys as we cast on Carentan today with the middle point of Carentan Canal Crossing. Let's go ahead and clear off the audio here. All right, now that we don't have them in the air now, we don't want to take away their comms here. But with that, let's talk a little bit about what we're playing today. So rules as they have been in the past, nothing too different. We want to talk about Undestructible, one man arty. Oh, it looks like we've got a little bit of an update here, so that's always cool to see. One man arty, one man only. We want them to be able to build the gun, but we don't want anybody to help them out with the gun. So they'll be the only one on it. They'll be the only one traversing it, moving it, whatnot. One man only. Indestructible nodes, once they're up, we want them to stay up. We want to make sure that they go ahead and get as many resources for both teams as possible, and it's up to the enemy commanders, or up to the commanders, how they go about doing that and using it. Third, Panther ban. The Axis forces are not going to be able to use the Panther today, and no commander arty ability. So with that update coming out, an update U18 here for the Hell Let Loose community, we're not going to be using that, as well as SPAs are not going to be present on today's battlefield. Now, those rules could always change in the future, but as for right now, those are the rules we are playing with. Let's talk a little bit about how we got to where we are here. Let them know here that I'm ready. All right, so a little bit of how we got here today. Standings for the regular season saw that these two teams Looks like I've got them switched around here real fast. All right, here we go. Standings for the regular season here. 11th Infantry finished 5-1, with 48th finishing 3-3. So both in the top section of the bracket here for Division 8. So we should have a pretty good matchup here for us between these two. Playoff standings, the winner of this match in the semifinal will go on to face the winner of the 27th Field Artillery, who secured a flawless regular season, going undefeated against PZLD. Also a very strong heavyweight here in the area. So very good teams here in the Division 8. I'm very excited to see how this one kind of shapes up. So with that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our head-to-head stats between these two teams. So, regular season matchup between these guys. I believe this actually is an incorrect sheet here. It should have pulled up a different one here because I had just the kills per minute. There we go. All right. So record here, average match statistics here for the 11th ID. Finished the regular season 5-1, 3-3 for 48th. Infantry kills per minute. What that KPM is what that stands for. Kills per minute. That takes the amount of time that each game takes and the amount of kills that each team gets during those allotted times. So if they only play for 30 minutes, it kind of prorates everything a little bit to give them a little bit more grace there. But on average, the 11th Infantry coming into this match is averaging about 6.26 kills per minute, and that's in a 35s format. So give a heads up that there's not as many people running around. There's more open spaces, not quite as many kills in these matchups, but 6.26 with 11th Infantry taking a little bit of the edge here on the 48th. Armor kills per minute, definitely in favor of 11 ID here at 1.01. Artillery, they had a little bit of an outlier here for the 11th ID in the data that I was able to collect, which caused this to drop down pretty severely for them. But as of right now, 48th carrying that matchup right there with about one kill every 2 minutes or so on the arty gun. And the commander KPM, this one also is a little bit more difficult. 11th Infantry has been able to win a few of their matches fairly quickly, which has led the commanders to not necessarily need to put a lot of various bombing runs or other type of abilities down, which leads a little bit to a lower KPM. But nonetheless, one that I always want to highlight here is the commanders do a lot of work in the preparation for these matches, in knowing where they can place different things, where they can put garrisons and whatnot. So it's not always about the kills, but it is always fun to kind of compare the average commander kills there as we look to talk about those kind of things. So that hopefully gives you a little bit of an insight into what these two bring. When these two did end up playing during the regular season, 11 ID did come away with the win. And let's go ahead and pull up some of the information there. So 11 ID won it in the course of 72 minutes on St. Marie Église, SME being the map. Achilles and Dappercat came out on top there. Achilles with 73 kills, Dappercat 47. Those are both 11 ID players. Top killers for the 48th were CSGT Sill and LCPL Jojo, Lance Corporal Jojo. So it'll be interesting to see if those guys go ahead and play in and are leading out their respective teams and clans appropriately as well. So let's go ahead. We've got a few minutes now as we're waiting for more and more people to join the fight here. Let's talk a little bit about Canal Crossing and what we're kind of working with. So the point that we're dealing with is here up on the north. Perhaps one of my favorite points here on Carentan, just simply because it offers such a unique kind of area. It's different than what you get from Town Center, which would be right in the middle of all those buildings. And different from Train Station in the fact that Train Station is bisected by a lot of railways, so kind of large, long open lanes. Canal Crossing, on the other hand, is really structured into three main parts. And I'll go ahead and put this section up here so you guys can kind of see it. Canal Crossing is bisected by this giant canal. Axis are going to be coming from this side. Allies are going to be coming from this side. So we're going to be streaming from the 11th ID side. So this is the side that we're going to be coming from on that one, with 48th being coming up here. And I apologize, I'm drawing with a mouse, and we all know how that really works. So the hard cap itself is situated about this section. So if we pull up the map, the hard cap is really what this big black circle is, that signifies the hard cap. That gives the team that controls that area a little bit more pressure on the overall cap of the sector. These 4 grid squares count as the cap sector in general. So if anybody is in here, they'll count 1 capture point towards their respective team's capture weight. If they're inside, that gets doubled up. And if a reinforce gets put down, any defending team member that's inside of that hard cap circle also gets a little bit of a buff as well to their defensive cap pressure to try to allow defensive teams to help them out a little bit. But as far as this goes, hard cap right here kind of bisected between these 2 points, where a lot of teams will try to come in and control the north, and another team will try to control the south, but they'll end up getting about the same amount of pressure, as you'll get a lot of teams that kind of get bisected by this. So for 48th being the Axis side, it's going to be very interesting to see how they go about playing and getting bodies up here in the north to try to minimize their force to have to try to get down here in the southern side. The hard thing about the Axis is once you get pushed out of this sector, it gets really difficult to try to get back in. There is a little bit of a bridge to get across the canal, as you can kind of see right here. But those are very exposed, very difficult to get people across, as most likely the Allies will have some people kind of bringing fire down in onto those areas. So what you'll often see is through the course of the opening, the Axis normally will take a truck here or Lux or something to try to dive people up underneath this canal. Now, in Hell Let Loose, you get a 6-second underwater timer. If you don't exit the water before that time is over, you die. But in the case of a truck, you can actually get a whole truck of people across with about 1, maybe half a second to spare, which allows you to go ahead and put things up here. Now, with the way the map also sits is you can't quite see it on the map itself, but there is a small little section right there where you can actually go in and get a garrison here on the Allied side, or sorry, the Axis side, that would prevent it from being locked out and allow your guys to continue flooding in. So this little spot right here, definitely a key little area for the Axis forces to try to get bodies into, try to hold that. And so if you're 11 ID, you're definitely coming in and wanting to own this northern portion of the map, really prevent anything from the Axis from getting across the way. So we'll keep an eye on the opener there and just see kind of what happens, because if the 48th can get there and establish a foothold, not get pushed out, it's going to make it really difficult for 11 ID to really control that point. Now, as far as it goes here to the southern portion, we've got these little dock factory areas here that I like to call it dock factory. We'll call it little factory, call it docks. I'll call it a few different things throughout the course of this match probably, so just so you know the terminology there. But it really ultimately is in a difficult situation here for the Axis as well, just because there's only a few direct areas that you can get into the hard cap sector here. So that's going to be 1, coming down this area, or 2, because this area right here is all inaccessible, and I keep hitting my L2, R2 buttons, so I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and zoom right back out here and get a better look at where this is right here. So this whole area right here is unplayable. Like, you can't get anybody in here. You have to go down this road or down this road, which really makes it so the Axis can only come through here, or if they do try to get around, they're forced to come all the way down and around up through this factory complex before they can look to get up into the point at that position. So be very interesting to see if the Axis can get in and hold it. They're going to have everything kind of made up for them pretty well. If the Allies come in and win it, like we saw yesterday in the match that I casted between 79th and RMC, 79th, who were the Allies at that time, were able to get in, capture that initial point, and made it really difficult for RMC to get back in to that point, even trying to go all the way around and do various things. So this initial cap really is going to be a deciding factor for the course of the 90-minute match that we're going to be looking at. But the next part that we'll be looking at is going to be where those 4th points are, where those defensive points here, whether it's ruins right here, or whether it's rail crossing here, customs, or pumping station. If it's pumping station and customs, get ready for a really long 2-3 fight here over the middle. If it is ruins or rail crossing. The team that caps that section first most likely will try to get a quick push onto that fourth point, especially if it's ruins, because ruins is actually just like right here, right off the point. And so if 48's able to get out here, they could end up going up 4-1 very quickly if they're able to get bodies to push right down that main road through town center and into that area. So looking for a lot of the fighting to be done around this sector, and this sector right here. We'll add that as a fourth right there, as we see a lot of those kind of things. So 3 major sectors here. We'll call that town center, we'll call that factory docks, and we'll call that just up to the north. So be interesting to see how both teams come in and play this. With it being semifinals, you never know what kind of things people have in store, and what various tricks, what various snipes, what things they have kind of up their sleeve. So be very interesting. And we should be just looking to get the last couple people in here and be able to get started here momentarily. And just with that, we've got the flip here. So here we go, starting out here. Good luck to both teams. Very much excited for this matchup. Let's see where it goes. Just making sure everybody has a chance to go ahead and get into the server, into their squads before I go ahead and lock up. I usually try to take the very last spot so that they don't have to try to dodge me and various things. So we'll give it just a few more seconds here. All right, and just with that, very interesting, fun point layout as we have both rail crossing and ruins as options here. Try to get out of the way here so we don't cause any problems with any spawns. Brightness is a little bit high due to a map I was playing earlier, so we'll go ahead and bump that down as well. All right, so looking at the initial lineups here, looking for the axis here on the 48th side. Medium Panzer IV coming out of the middle, as to be expected, as that's the heaviest default tank that's out there. Looks like we've got a Lux to the top, and we've got a second Lux that was spawned, and a recon tank down at the south. That's always, of course, the default. For the 11 ID, we've got a medium tank coming up. Looks like it's going to try to own something in the north, with a Stuart coming as well down the main road. Various transports nodes are all up, with the exception, it looks like we are actually missing one munitions node. There it goes. Just was a little late in getting down, but with that, all the nodes up for 11 ID. Okay, we are in a commander in an officer role today, so we do get the opportunity to see some of the command pings that are put out there. Looks like there is some stuff moving already. Some thoughts to go to the north here for 11 ID. All right, here we go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got initial allied supplies landing in the north, probably just along that boundary line of the red-blue sector, or the white-blue sector, we'll put it that way. Got the Axis trucks starting to come on in. See if 11 ID has any snipes that they are planning on trying to get some things going here. Hoping to maybe take out some of this initial capway here. Okay. Axis supply truck stops there on the road, looking to get that garrison up. Looks like the truck was able to make it through the north section here for the Axis. The initial flooders all coming out here. So good work, just as we were talking about it before. It looks like the initial Axis truck was able to make their way across. It's cap progress coming in for 11 ID. Driving straight down into the canals here. That's going to put it right in the very north portion of the hard cap here for the 11 ID members. Flares going up. Let's go ahead and take a look on the southern side here. It looks like 11 ID driving a truck straight up the gut down from the south of factory complex here, right into the middle of the docks. But so far, nobody from 48 ID coming into that middle sector. Looks like they may have been delayed a little bit, or a truck had gotten stuck. Did a truck get stuck? Yes, it does look like a truck. The middle truck did end up getting stuck. Stuck on something, unfortunately. Not unsure what that got stuck on, but at the end of the day, it looks like many of the 48th members had to run from the back, which is going to set them up back pretty well. Make it difficult for them to try to get in, as 1180 is still owning that factory complex of docks. We'll go ahead and get our names on here shortly as well, so you can see everybody. Sergeant Winter is able to go ahead and get that kill there. Looks like everything's working on our scoreboard as well, so that's always fun to see. So you can always have the total kill counters there. But see how this battle in the north is going. That's Stewart take here for the Axis, or for the Allies here, trying to come in and cause a lot of damage here. Really just push people out of the north. 11 ID going with the strong push to try to make sure everything gets taken out on the northern side. Looks like Axis marking a take up here in the north. Were they able to get their Lux across? Yes, they were, as we can hear the Lux making its thumping sounds right below us. Sergeant Super back there making sure that it stays up nice and healthy here. Ally supplies landing to the north, trying to get that garrison up right on the command here. Let's go ahead and pop those, pop all of our stuff here so we can see it. The Lux continuing to pound down into the northern portion of that hard cap. All right, now you should be able to see all the names, all the colors. Make it a little easier for you guys at the home to be able to see where everybody is. So overall, doing very well. Looks like Axis were able to go ahead and get that garrison up in the north. That is going to allow them to keep flooding bodies here into the south, or into the northern portion. But 11th ID going very quickly, getting some bodies here onto the rail crossing point. Appears that might have been sniffed out, though, as whoever was back here in the section appears to have passed away. Been eliminated. But we can see the 11 ID still owning that factory complex just south of the docks here. Due to whatever had happened on the 48th side. Panzer IV trying to run away from Zin. Zin getting a shot in it, but Panzer IV able to get the final say on what happened there. But with it being heavily damaged, it is continuing to back on up, taking shots as he continues to expertly back up down that canal pathway. That Stewart tried to punch above his weight class here, knowing with it heavily so injured already, he could have got a shot on that Panzer IV. Could have been a whole different game and opening up that middle section for his medium tank. But knowing that Lux is still there, that Stewie's still going after it. So right now, Axis forces, with the exception of the Lux, only having 2 bodies up here in the north. ricocheting off the side. Stewart going very aggressive to try to get pressure on it. Hot Rail, though, taking advantage of the upgraded benefit of the Axe allied bazooka, getting right to the front and able to get a rocket on it. Sacrifices the body as Lieutenant Lads is able to take him out, but with that, he was able to go ahead and remove the Lux from the north, allowing that Stewart to try to get up here and clear out the remaining guys here as more and more bodies for the 48th are slowly making their way into that northern portion. 11 ID still continuing to push bodies forward, now owning pretty much all of the dock section here south of the canal. 48th just forced to kind of retreat just a little bit there. Dappercat and Thrusted Eagle going hard, trying to get to the place of this garrison. Dappercat looking to get Lindsay. Sergeant Johnson, though, able to take him out from the side, doing their best Jurassic Park impersonation here. But the garrison's still remaining here, and that is a blue line garrison, keep you in mind. So while it will show warm, 48th is still going to be able to spawn bodies here onto it. Nobody's seeing that garrison as of now. Yeah, still able to spawn people in, is not locked out. Potentially with them being 15 meters, maybe they're inside of 15 meters. That could be potentially what's causing that to be locked out. But 11 ID, not aware of that garrison being there at the moment. So as soon as Groove Furlong and RW Cash kind of step away for a second, very well could open up, could see a garrison spawn here, which could be pretty difficult to kind of combat here against the 11 ID players who are there just kind of waiting for it, unaware that it's going to happen. I know it's not the most exciting thing for everybody here, but I personally am really excited to see if this ends up opening up and how big of a spawn wave comes off of it here. As now it most likely is just warm, not locked out. Groove Furlong, though, still looking to try to hold. There's our spawn wave, able to get one shot, two shots. Johnson and Furlong both going down, leaving Titus Falk. Sergeant bounced, though, looking to try to get an angle. They are now very much aware that that spawn is there. Bounce able to get a shot on Titus. Garrison's still there, not taken out yet, as it will most likely get one more spawn here, as Munchy Squirrel, who gave us our riveting pregame speech here, looks to help his team try to salvage and see what's going on here. Vistava, though, with the rocket, will he be able to get shot? No, Achilles able to get the shot on Vistava. Piper, though, coming in with the MG right on Achilles. Will he be able to take him out? Piper going in, mowing down Achilles. 11 ID still not able to take this garrison out. Titus and Johnson, though, spawning off the OP, located very closely to this garrison. All right, Sergeant Johnson and Titus now full control over the north. Will they now be able to find the garrison? Johnson moving on in, able to see the garrison. And with that, Johnson's going to be able to take that out. So, was very engaging there for a moment. But 11 ID able to eventually get on top of it. With an OP that was put down, it looks like Sergeant Johnson and Corporal Visa, Lieutenant Lads. Looks like now that OP is gone, leaving Vistava all by themselves up there with Rusty Dork. Maybe he's just hiding in the cattails here long enough to allow his guys to go ahead and disperse around him. Try to get an angle on that Stewart, but we'll come back and check in on that as we tune in here on the medium Panzer 4, or not medium, but medium Sherman here, pushing right down this middle road. Tiger 131 commanding this tank here. Air destroyer, though, moving up, trying to see if there's garrison. Definitely is marked in the command chat area. All right, it appears we may have gotten another Panzer IV coming up the way here. And nope, we have our initial Tiger here. So the Panzer IV that looks like they were taken out, it looks like they were able to come on back with a Tiger. Going to be able to cause a little bit of damage to this medium Sherman. It looks like medium Sherman has diverted down that road to head a little bit more south. So for now, he's going to go ahead and be safe. However, this Stewart here just on the north doesn't quite know what he's going to be running into. Looks like Raven, Munchie Squirrel, moving right into the face of that Tiger tank. Zin with an excellent rocket, just nearly missing the front of that Tiger though. Zin has been a member on our show, has been featured before on our show with plenty of good rockets in the past, so no doubt this is going to continue to go moving forward. But it seems like Munchie Squirrel and his crew have now noticed that they are facing a Tiger tank as a shell ricochets off the front of him. Zin a little bit short on that one. Got to bring that in. With the cap pressure now coming in on rail crossing here for 11ID. Looks like 11ID was able to get airhead in, so we are going to go ahead and zoom away from this for a second as Munchie Squirrel continues just to try to punch above his weight there. But right now, a hard cap owned strongly here by 11ID due to the ability of this airhead that got placed down here right in the middle of hard cap. 48th going to be left struggling here a little bit to try to get back in here. As more and more 11ID players pop in off of that airhead. Very much in favor of 11ID at the moment. Closest garrison for 48 is just on the other side of the wall. Will it be able to get a spawn here? I don't know if Biotech Nerd or Hot Rail are close enough. They could potentially be within that 15 meters that be required to go ahead and lock that out. Beer Destroyer able to move on. It's going to be able to get that out. Sergeant Winters hiding up in that. Just trying to provide a little bit cap weight here. Now nearing 55% of the way capped here for 11ID. 11ID coming and taking names as they just continue to flood more and more bodies off of this point. So just as we kind of anticipated there, with a quick bounce onto the fourth point here for 11ID. As soon as that airhead became available, they pretty much dropped it right on hard cap. Supplies landing for the Allies in anticipation of capping this square. MG Mike and Priz already starting to make progress and movement towards the final point here of Rail Causeway. As 48th is now just on their back foot, just trying to get up wherever they can, because as of right now, they will lose all of their garrisons. As that point now flips to a 4-1 lead here for 11ID. So bombing run comes in over the top of rail crossing. Let's go ahead and see how many people this will take out, as there is a healthy amount of blueberries there. Bombing run inbound. How many blueberries are we going to see disappear? We see 1, 2. 2 blueberries disappear, but garrison for 11ID is staying up, as is located right behind this building right here. Would have gotten the airhead, but did not get the garrison. As a big spawn wave comes off for 11ID. Very luckily that the respawn timer was so low on that garrison. So many people were able to get back in. Really kills all of the momentum that 48th would have had from the help of that bombing run, unfortunately. That bombing run, definitely a key factor. If you're able to get that garrison, it can help your guys out immensely. But if you're not able to get it, a lot of those guys that you kill with the bombing run will come right back in. As now 11ID slowly starts to move up their garrison network. It's going to be vital for them to go ahead and keep that up. Dapper Cat and crew already making a very quick push here, as Priz already on the front door here of Rail Causeway. Garrison has gone up here for 48th. Biotech Nerd eliminated from the competition. Priz doing his best to just be as still as possible, hold all the angles he can. But Priz taking out hot. Good shot by Priz. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what Priz is looking at through his eyes here. See if our budgeting has allowed for the gun to work. Yes, it is showing in our side here. So let's go ahead. We'll take out some of our streamer abilities here so that we can see a little bit more of what he's looking at, as the OP there is taken out. Priz aiming down the sights. Will he get the shot? It sounds like missed, unfortunately. Oh, no, it looks like he did get the hit, but unfortunately for Priz, he was eliminated by Yahoo. Doesn't sound like we get the same good hit markers that you would get if you were the actual infantry player. The Dapper Cat and Hot Rail moving up quick to try to keep holding that ground here as they take out Major Sergeant Reddy. So with that, we'll be looking for 11 ID to have another airhead available here within the next 5 minutes or so. How quick will they try to jump on top of this? 11 ID known for trying to finish out matches very quickly, as they hold a record for the fastest match this season here in TPL. I believe it was coming in just about 17 minutes or so. MG Mike, though, falling as Yahoo falls victim to Biotech Hazard or Soapman. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Falcon camera, see where everything's looking on the garrisons. So 11 ID setting us up very nicely here for a push on a rail causeway with two different garrisons here. Able to allow their pushes here down these main roads. However, 48th forced to come off of one garrison there, two garrisons there. So both teams, two forward side garrisons. H Squad does have this side OP up, which might allow them to double drop and get some type of garrison up there in the back to try to just circle and surround the 11th ID forces. But for right now, 11th ID doing very well at holding a front line portion in this 30 versus 30s match, 35's matchup between these two. Now, the front lines in these smaller divisions don't go quite as long, but you can see stretching from the top garrison down through, with the exception of this little incursion here by M Squad. That's going to be in that little bit of it's kind of a garden area up in the north. We'll go ahead and look at that here. They're able to go ahead and get on through. Let's go ahead and see if these guys will be able to know the fun little secrets here. A little outpost, if you have an officer, would be able to put an outpost there. You could climb on top of the lower wall, the gray wall, and you'd be able to then get up and over the shed. Or if you don't have an officer, you can always go up this little side wall here, jump up on top, run right on down, and jump on into that area. So keep that in mind for your next public match here. Is Nimbus. Nimbus is his way up over the top of that wall. Yes, I did just Harry Potter that verb. Thank you very much. Come from a household with a few members of it that absolutely love Harry Potter. One of our interns as well has recently gotten into it. Absolutely loves it. I think we've watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone probably 20 times over this holiday break. And that's a lot. Especially coming from somebody that's used to watching a lot of Disney. So, start him young, they say. Start him young. But Achilles really causing some problems there in the middle of the hard cap here. Garrison looks like it was taken out here. So the Axis, the 48th, do not have a garrison here on point at the moment. Zin taken out to the south. Saucy Nug as well. So looks like we got supplies landing for both teams here, relatively close to each other. But right now, 48 still being pushed back farther and farther, being more concentrated here on this canal point. This rail causeway point. Man, I'm sorry. It must be a Sunday afternoon. Sergeant Super, though, trying to get back there, be a super helper for his Panzer IV. Getting that all fixed up here. Sporting that Bumblebee little tank cosmetic. Frankly, I think one of the best looking ones in the game for the Panzer IV that already looked pretty good already. With that, go ahead and go back up into the overhead view here. So 1180 slowly owning that northern portion here as Achilles, Hot Rail, and Feudal are all just in good little Overwatch areas, really to prevent anybody from being able to push farther off of that wooded area from the main point here. Looks like we have a bombing run coming in with an airhead combination from 11ID. Airhead is going to land. Nobody there from the 48 side to go ahead and receive it. Panzer IV is going to be very close to it, so it'll be interesting to see if this Panzer IV is going to be able to rotate and take out this airhead. It is shielded a little bit by this transport truck. But nope, it is not shielded, so that tank should be able to see it. Pivoting right towards it. Will it be able to get it as cap progress? No. He turns away from the airhead. Panzer IV does not see the airhead to be able to take it out. Cat Progress now coming in on rail crossing here. Is Dapper Cat first to come off the airhead. Spotter must have seen Dapper Cat come off as they are looking around trying to figure out where that guy must have came off of. But again, airhead for the 48 still sitting on the ground, missing the shot here. Will another spawn be able to come off of it? No, most likely not, as the MG for the driver is well trained on it. Airhead goes down. Dapper Cat, only man able to come off of it, but it looks like 11ID has been able to respond back to rail crossing and take care of business there. But with that, they have been able to force the Panzer IV to move from its power position here on the backside, meaning that it might open up the ability for them to be able to push this heavy tank right on through the gut here. 11ID already going for the jugular here, as more and more people flooding here into the southern portion. 48th just trying to hold on for dear life, as that Tiger tank sitting right on the top of the tracks. It's going to become very close target here for this heavy 76, pushing down the wall here. Major Dimension able to get some shots out on it. But does this 76, looks like 76 has been taken around. You can see it up there in the backside, so it does have a little bit of cover here from the Tiger tank at the moment. So Tiger tank coming down, precision down, rockets go, and Tiger tank is eliminated. Going to open up the door for a lot of 11ID members to go ahead and flood into the point. Looks like they might be leading this cap race just by the ever smallest hair, as 48 also putting cap pressure here on rail crossing. It's going to be big to see which team is going to be able to contest first, because which team contests first is going to be the one that's going to most likely hold their defensive point. With that, 1 hour and 4 minutes left to go in this match. We are in a cap race here, as 11ID still ahead of the cap race here, continuing to flood more and more bodies into the point. Nothing close yet for 11ID to go ahead and spawn more and more people off, but it does not matter, as 48 does not quite have a garrison spawn here. Looks like they may be getting it here. Garrison spawn coming in. That's going to allow them to defend. Will they now be able to turn the tide here, as they now are leading this cap race? 48th on top of the rail crossing point. Panzer IV sitting right in the middle. Hard cap. Reinforce is down for the Allies with no garrison in the area. This is going to leave 11ID scrambling here to try to get defenders back. Priz able to go ahead and get off here. Already smoke landing here for the Axis forces. Go ahead and shield some of their guys as they continue to try to push down into this point. Nobody up sitting on Canal Crossing quite yet for 48th. How quick will 11ID be able to respond here? Massive garrison spawn wave to the south. This is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and Lindsay Alex does not know what's ahead of them here at the moment, as they are taken out here. Big push here from the 11ID coming in from the south, trying to do everything they can. It appears they have been able to tip cap pressure back in their favor, contesting it for just a moment. 48th now putting a few more bodies into the hard cap. 76 diving right into the middle here. Will they be able to get into the hard cap? Yes, they are now in the hard cap. Are they starting to defend? Yes, they are. 76 is going to peek the corner on this Panzer IV, getting a shot off on him. Panzer IV knows he is done for if he cannot back up for fast enough. Will they get? Looks like they got around the angle fast enough. 76 needs to push their advantage right here. There's a secondary Lux here, but Hellhound coming around behind, getting a satchel. Will he get it on? Satchel on the 76. Oh, boys and girls, we are getting exciting here, as Hellhound able to come up and get a big play here. 76 able to get a shot onto the Panzer IV here, taking it out. Lux, though, laying into the sidetrack here. Going to make it very difficult for that 76 to go ahead and move anywhere. 76 able to take out the Lux as well, but unbeknownst to them, they are still satcheled and will not be able to get out now, as we are below the 15-second mark. They will not be able to get out and get that. So this 76 from Munchie Squirrel goes up in smoke. But with that, 11ID still in very strong control here of the cap sector here of rail crossing, as they are slowly ticking back forward in their favor here. So all pressure on rail causeway appears to have been taken away, as 11ID pulls as many bodies back as they can. Needed to take a quick little drink there. You guys are making it very intense here. For a man that's not used to talking so much, you sure got me going. Cap progress, though, coming back in for 48, as 48th now appears to be the people in control of the hard cap. 1190 still not able to get anything back in here, as it's still ticking in favor of the 48th. Going to be getting very close to another potential bombing run here for the Allied forces, as already for 11 ID continues to plunge into the point here, just a little bit south of where it probably needs to go. It could also be Axis Arty that's landing as well. So give a little shout out here to our Axis artillery man here. Well, Alfonso. Just when we thought 11 ID was going to go for the jugular here, had everything moving in their direction, 11 ID forced to retreat back here to rail crossing to be able to defend this point, but 48 looks to finally be able to get over the edge, push this back into their favor, and with that are going to go back to a 3-2 with 11 ID leading it, still holding that middle canal crossing sector. Supply drops, both teams starting to come in here to the north. As 48th coming back from the brink of defeat, able to go ahead and salvage that point here, leading us back to another hour of play here. All right, and here we are 30 minutes into the matchup here between 48th and 11th ID. We'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what got us to this point. So it's been an exciting 30 minutes, I must say, so far. 11 ID able to get the initial cap off of Canal Crossing here on semi-axis favored point here, as Canal Crossing is centered on the right side of that middle sector. But some little truck worries caused a little bit of problems here for the 48th, which caused them to not be able to get pressure up onto that. 11 ID from that point kind of led into, kept pushing, able to get an airhead down into the rail crossing sector. Just back there in that area where we just saw that spawn wave as well. 11 ID able to get that airhead up, which was able to flood a whole bunch of 11 ID guys onto the point here for rail crossing, tipping in favor of 11 ID, who looked in very strong position to move up over onto rail causeway. But snatching it from the jaws of defeat here, as 11 ID was mounting a push up onto that final point with a 76 moving down the road, taking out a Tiger tank as well with a precision strike from Mr. Soapman, Commander Soapman there. We're able to get enough bodies here onto rail crossing to push that in their favor, and now here we sit at a 3-2 in favor of 11 ID, as both teams have officially reset, reforming that line here, with a little bit of a incursion here from 11 ID, really coming straight between the points here, led by MG Mike and his crew. But a fun 30 minutes, and what would you expect? Would you expect anything different for a semifinal matchup? No, I hope not. Winner go home. Winner goes on to the championship match, punches their ticket there, as you would go to say. 11, and the loser goes home with hopes and dreams of the next tournament here. Panzer IV sitting right in the middle, hard cap here. No Tiger tank again spawn here for the 48th, as they rolled out that other Panzer IV here. No doubt should be seeing it relatively soon here from the one that was just recently precisioned. But as we can see, 11 IZ still owns this entire northern section right here. So 48 still is yet to get any bodies across. Be interesting now that we have some default trucks back here in the spawn, if any officer tries to go ahead and make that jump with the help of a supplyman to try to get some pressure up onto that northern portion. If I was playing this map, that's what I would do. So if you're ever playing against me, there you go. Gave you my whole playbook. You're welcome. Last time I commanded this match on this map at this point, was against HLLE. Ended up losing it 3-2 in first week of playoff, or first week of TPL. Back all the way back in September, if you can believe it. Very long time ago. But team I play for, which is 22nd, are set to meet up with them again. However, this time on Purple Heart Lane. Grout Pillbox as the midpoint. We will be on the Allies side, so we will hopefully be able to give HLLE a run for their money, but know that we are the underdogs in said matchup. Should be a good one, though. But that is not today's matchup here. Today we are with the 11th ID and 48th. As Perky Cod looks to maneuver his way up through the road here. Gets a shot on Futile. Getting a shot. Will he be able to do it? Perky Cod making a way up. Loaded with toxic bandages. Taking out Futile. But being the good medic that he is, running to try to make sure he saves the blood loss from himself right in front of him. Just to taunt the injuries into him. Perky God, though, finally able to get a little bit of karma there, taken out by Biotech Nerd. So going with the bandage taunt in front of his enemy that he just shot appears to not be the way for karma to land on your side. As we leave Zin, Priz, and Biotech Nerd to their own devices there. Let's go ahead and zoom back out and see if anything is moving on for the 48. So 11th ID doing very well, holding their line here. But what do we have here? Looks like we have an Axis Airhead that is popping up. It is hitting the ground. Or it has hit the ground. Yep, it is going to be able to spawn here. Yep, big spawn wave coming off here for the 48th. No supplies back there yet. Most likely going to be looking to try to get some type of push here for the 48th. Get some type of double drop. There's no support players off of there yet. Titus Fox, Sergeant Flad, not quite aware of anything going on behind them quite at the moment. So that airhead really sliding in right behind him. It is a typical airhead spot for the Axis forces trying to get here into the point. But with that, Sergeant Vlad and Titus running all the opposite direction here as Hellhound, Visiva, Mr. Nimbus, and crew all are coming down the lane here. Garrison going up to the north. Must have already had supplies that had landed there. We just weren't able to see them. So Garrison on up. It is going to be able to spawn. As it looks like Commander here for the Axis Force is able to dive a tank or a truck right back here. So 48 pushing in quick as Sergeant Tiberius able to get across here. Corporal Visiva able to get back and get the garrison here, eliminating the spawn wave off of it as 11 ID does get more and more bodies here in the back. Trying to figure out where this push might be coming from as they now know people are behind them as that the northern garrison goes out. However, 11 ID still having that garrison out in the northwest. Hellhound trying to do his best submarine impersonation here. Coming in from the Navy SEALs here, or the German equivalent of the Navy SEALs, merging from the water to go ahead and kill Sergeant Vlad. But Beer Destroyer able to get more and more shots on him as he is able to go ahead and get behind that canal, or behind that crane inside the canal there. But a big push is going to end up pushing a lot of bodies here for the 11 ID back. 11 ID able to get themselves again in an attacking position here with multiple garrisons up in the red zone. But for the time being, they are not going to be able to push pressure onto that point yet, as it is starting now to be contested as 48th sends more and more bodies into this cap pressure here on the northern side. So with that, 48th now owning all pretty much of this northern portion. No spawns really coming off of that northern garrison yet for 11 ID. As Axis smoke comes in from the Arty Man, trying to cover some of their tracks here. As Oleski and Eagle, not knowing that the other one is there. Alexi probably hearing that he's there, but Alexi not making any moves yet. Makes some fire, able to get out Thirsted Eagle there. Crunchy Flare now being the closest person there. Goodyear able to also embrace his aquatic skills to go ahead and get ahead and get behind the Hellhound. just to be eliminated by Oleski as well, as Cap Progress coming in now for the 48th again on the northern portion. We can see the RD for the Allies is starting to be pushed that direction, so now full control of the north goes to 48th, with still not very many spawns coming off of that northern garrison here for the 11 ID. 11 ID also getting some pressure here onto rail crossing, but it's not going to be enough quite yet to put it back into pressure here. However, they do own hard cap, as we are now forced into this divide here, as I was kind of talking about, between the southern hard cap and the northern hard cap pressure here, with the advantage going to 11 ID as they are able to put down a reinforce here. So this point right now bisected by this bridge and this canal, both sides able to occupy a section of hard cap. This Hellhound again going for the aquatic route across the river. Bombing run though coming in for the Allied Axis forces. Sorry, that's going to go land right over the top of this garrison. Most likely going to be able to take it out. So we can see it right there on the southern side of our bottom side of our screen. Looks like it has taken out. Gonna leave 48th with the ability to flood more and more bodies here into the park. So right now, 11 ID now forced to really push a lot of people back, as rail crossing now appears to have plenty of people back in favor of it. Going back in the area of 48th, as now 48th owns that entire cap sector, with the exception of one little guy. And it looks like a Tink Leech that, no, not a Tink Leech, Hot Rail just running right behind it. Now nearing 50% of the way capped here for 48th. With a big push here from the north finally coming in. Gonna hopefully be able to clear out some of these spawns, as they do take out that northern garrison here. But still 48th in full control of the hard cap sector. Nobody in the area, so reinforce not going to do any good here for the Allies. So they're going to need to force their way back up onto this point very quickly if they have any hopes of trying to defend this here. A squad's OP gonna come up clutch, as it is the only thing close enough to hard cap here, as MG Mike and Saucy Nug coming in on it. Will they be able to get down into the point in time, as reinforce does fall for 11 ID? Any bit that they can get into there is going to be huge here, as Zin, now moving into the northern portion of hard cap here, is able to slowly get this back into the pressure here of 11 ID, taking back in favor, going back towards the middle ground sector here. But still plenty of OPs here for the 48, so they'll still be able to flood people in. They're gonna need to get people into this body as they're fighting through the reinforce here. They've got the push and they've got the people, but no, this garrison right here is really going to cause problems for the 48th. They need to get that removed so Sergeant Tiberius can go ahead and get that garrison up to the north, keep his guys running into this play here. As it continues to go contested, it's going back and forth. 11 ID able to stay up on the good right side of it for the time being, but still no garrison for 11 ID being put back up into the fight. Bear Destroyer firing across the way into the northern portion where all of the 48th players currently reside. But slowly but surely, they're getting just surrounded here. 11 ID responding well. We were worried there for a second, but 11 ID appears to be getting in control of this section again, as Dapper Cat falls just to the bottom part of our screen. Zin, though, working to do his best to clear out those trenches. With 1 P, it looks like, remaining here still for... okay, 2 OPs remaining here still for the 48. And we have 2 garrisons still up for the 11 ID inside of the hard cap sector. Or not the hard cap, but in the defensive sector for 48. So if they're able to get control back up over this section, which it appears that they are trying to do, garrison to the north, but locked out at the moment due to Zin most likely being within 100 meters there. So had 48th been able to get a little bit more pressure onto this point, it very well, they had everything going for them. They just needed that additional spawn to help keep them into the point. And had they gotten it right here, I think that would have been able to seal it for them, frankly. That garrison right on the front that they got right off the bat, should have been the one that they looked to potentially put that up. And we could be saying now that a 48th victory of, or 48th lead of 3-2 over 11 ID. but it appears 11 ID is going to be able to respond to this. Garrison not locked out to the north now. 48th going to be able to put more and more bodies in. So 11th ID going to need to spawn some guys up to the north, get that pushback going and clear that out here. But it appears that for the time being, they own the northern portion of the hard cap sector, which is going to make it very difficult for 48th to get back into that. As now Thirsted Eagle and Achilles both within locking distance of this garrison here. So it's just a matter of time before this Red Eagle, not Thirsted. Although I might offer that to him if he ever needs a beverage themed name, Thirsted Eagle. This Red Eagle, us birds got to stick together here. As this Red Eagle able to get on top of that garrison. Getting cleared out, leaving Red Paint as the only man alive here in the northern sector for his team. But now you're forced to get a whole bunch of guys to come across this area. If they're able to get that foothold reestablished, I mean, awesome, good for them. But had this garrison been put up in the north, it would have been able to prevent this run across here, as more and more bodies here just being eliminated as they try to cross this giant open road here. 76 moving, or not 76, but a medium Sherman now. Going to be able to lock that down. Nobody's going to get across there now. So just like that, 11 ID able to go back onto the advance here, onto the attack, as they've now been able to sure things up at home. All right, 45 minutes. Boy, do we have a good one on our hands. We didn't quite know what we were getting into here, but here we are. 45 minutes remaining in this matchup between 11th ID and 48th. 11th ID still leading at 3-2, although getting very close to a scare there. As we near the halfway point, we do see that medium tank taking out that Panzer IV to the south side. Looks like, before I give my, before I go into that, I want to touch base here real fast. We got some stuff going on right here. 76 and a medium Panzer IV going at it. Panzer IV looks to have gotten a shot into him already, unfortunately. Just trying to stay shielded here. How aggressive will this 76 be? Knowing that that Panzer IV has a shell into him. Panzer IV might open itself up to a shot, though, if it continues to go south, which it will. Barrel's not there, but quickly snaps to him. Gets a shot, missing, though, unfortunately for him. As Tiger and crew look to just chase this Panzer IV that appears to be able to get away here. So for the time being, this Panzer IV is going to go ahead and stay alive. All right, so here we are, 45 minutes in. Let's go ahead and give you our halfway mark reminder here. Make sure you got your beverages. Stay thirsty, my friends, whether it be water or some other form of beverage. Make sure you're staying hydrated out there. Middle of winter, not as hot. Maybe for those in the southern hemisphere, I know it's really hot for you guys right now. But remember, stay hydrated, drink your water. This message is brought to you by Big Water. Hoping Big Water will be able to send me a check later. I always love to have some type of check. But we do this for the love of the game. Love the game. My wife definitely wishes I got paid for this, but I'm sure there's plenty of people watching this stream that can also feel like they have the same sentiment in their household. Dapper Cat and Achilles now in control of the hard cap here. No spawns for 48th here at the moment. Sorry, when I go to mute my mic, I'm used to muting it on my controller here, not my Bluetooth mic above my head here. Okay, appears that everything is good on our stream health on the backside there. Appreciate you guys all joining us today. Again, I'm Night Falcon, trying to give you this bird's eye view here of the matchup here between 11th ID and 48. Any likes, any subscribes you can give to the stream, we greatly appreciate it. We're getting closer and closer to that magical 500 number that we need to be able to start gaining some additional features here from the YouTube overlords. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. It goes a long way to help us out here. We're just a small little studio here at Falcon Studios. little homegrown. By homegrown, I mean a guy sitting in a dark room, staring at a computer screen and talking to a mic. Just like all the other talking heads on the internet, except you just don't see this one. You just get to hear the sound of my voice through this microphone, whether that be a good or a bad thing. It is what it is. But here we go, 11th ID now nearing 3/4 of the way capped here as Achilles and crew still in the middle of hard cap here. Cap progress though coming back in favor of 48th as they go ahead and respawn and get people back here. Both garrisons still active and not locked out for the time being here. But by golly, I would like to know how this 76 got across. This medium. Did you do it? If you did it, I'm sorry I didn't get it. But I'm very impressed if you did it. If you got that tank across the boats there, I'm very impressed. Hats off to you, sir. Munchy Squirrel and company doing what they need to do to get that tank across. As the last time we saw it, it was right there. Right there across the bridge. Good on you guys. Sorry I missed it. If you do it again, I'll do my best to try to see it. 11th ID still having plenty of bodies back here in the middle of the sector. No airhead landing quite yet, as they do have enough munitions to be able to support it. We do have a bombing run coming in, though, from Commander Soapman. Or it could be an Axis bombing run. Almost would seem more likely of an Axis bombing run here at the moment, with where it's centered. Missing Rebel Cowboy. It's going to take out multi, 2, 1 friendly, 3, 4. All right, so taking out 4 enemy players at least. And with that, we got 1 little blueberry back here. Hellhound. Still doing some work up there in the north. As Achilles, Dapper Cat, Hot Rail. Still try to hold that northern portion of the hard cap. Das able to take out Ladaz. Or Lads. Lieutenant Lads. Guessing with the Z's, you have to kind of, you know, pronounce it a little longer. But with that, cap progress contested here on checkpoint. Canal Crossing. It's 1-1 right now. Only Titus and Hellhound up here fighting. Winner of this matchup will determine which way cap progress goes until somebody else is able to get back here. But Titus moving slowly, trying to embrace his inner ninja, moving along the hedgerows. Hellhound jumps around. Will he be able to get the help of his SCG? No, Titus gonna be able to get the final say on that. Popping him with his M1 carbine. For the time being, cap progress will be stalled here on Canal Crossing. Garrison, though, Sergeant Mr. Nimbus flying around here on the back line, taking out garrisons here. With Sergeant Tiberius moving on up. Gonna look to probably try to get some type of garrison up in here. As this section right here in the E5 is a very popular place for garrisons to be put. And getting the support of this medium tank here could end up being a good little push here for the Axis coming out the backside. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how things continue to move there. As 48 still playing very disciplined on the backside. Things becoming very scattered. What lines there once were now dissolved into the void. As no line for either side currently showing, but just a lot of spread out sectors as this 35 game looks to just go into the area of controlling the sector. Which, as for right now, 11 ID doing very well. They own the entirety of the soft cap sector. But Corporal Doss and Beer Destroyer moving back, try to eradicate whatever things are going on behind them here. As Sergeant Tiberius trying to get down, just stay low. As he is on top of supplies. Waiting for the opportune time to put that garrison up. Garrison going up. Garrison down. Gonna be locked out for the time being with 11 ID players being within 100 meters there. The cap progress now coming back in favor of 11 ID on rail crossing here. Will we see another helping arrowhead here? As Hot Rail, Zin, Dapper Cat, and Achilles have pushed in and owned this northern portion. Here's the recon plane is going up. We'll know here in just a moment. I did not get a notification, so it very well could be a 48th recon plane going up over the head. As we do not see any like sitting red dots. We would see sitting red dots that aren't moving along with the men, because we can see it in real time on our maps, but they wouldn't see it in real time off the recon plane. They just get the one snapshot. As the cap now goes in favor of 11 ID, not even needing the additional airhead to help them out. So 11th ID now leading at 4-1, forcing 48th to go ahead and respawn back. And we do have a forward garrison here for 11 ID. Nobody coming off of it quite yet, but doing pretty much what they did before in getting into that sector of rail crossing. And from there, just controlling the hard cap, forcing 48th to really kind of get out of the sector and try to push them into them. But 48th unable to get responses there in time, which has now pushed us back here to the final 2 points. So, whoa, Alfonso still back here shooting away on the gun. Leading right now, 11 ID leading 229 to 157 on the kills. We'll take this brief reset period here to really give some good shout outs to our arty men. Give some screen time to them, because they don't normally get the screen time. They call me Fogel. I'm right here for you, buddy. Let's go ahead and get you in some action shots here as you're lining up your shot right here. 75 being spawned in. That's pretty cool. With the recent tank updates, you're starting to see those more and more. But for the time being, it is fun to see them come back in, as they have now been buffed up a little bit stronger. Definitely favored more towards the anti-infantry side of things these days. Let's move on to where the action is over here. Starting to get some people spawning off of this southern garrison, as more and more bodies here for the 48th are pushing down the railway here. Currently locked out is Major Sergeant Ready. Says, I'm ready to take out this garrison. Running away with most likely a SpongeBob theme running through his mind of saying, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Strafing run on Rail Causeway. So I'm going to be marching 2 heavy tanks right up the gut here. Commander Soapman electing for that 76 and that 75 both to be able to be spawned. They are most likely going to be pushing directly into Rail Causeway, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out here in a moment. How do the Axis forces currently sit? We do have one Tiger tank coming out of the north. As far as armor goes, though, that appears to be the only armor squad in the area for them at the time being. So they are very much going to be coming up against a good deciding factor here of two heavy tanks here from 11ID within the next 5 minutes. Again, I'm Night Falcon here, casting this matchup here between 11ID and the 48th. Happy to be here. Happy a member of this TPL stream team community. It's really been a fun journey over the last 4 or 5 months as I've worked to try to get into this hobby of streaming these games for you guys. Came into the season with the feeling of wanting to make sure some of these other division matchups that don't necessarily get televised as much get a little bit of screen time. And I can tell you right now that those divisions 5 through 9 I think have been some of the funnest ones to cast, just simply because there's so much that happens in those matches. Everybody's spread out a little bit more. Lots of space for people to move around. Lots of things can happen, and lots of action between these areas, as we now see an airhead starting to land here on the southern side of Point. Quacken, though, going to be the only person close enough. Don't know if it's been called out for him quite yet, as it lands right behind Quacken. If it was a sneak, it would have jumped up and bit him. As we see Major Dementia firing a rocket on in. Hot Rail moving on up to the airhead. Quacken, though, still not aware that that is there. Sergeant Winters moving on up. Will they be able to get on top of this airhead? Sergeant Winters, it does not look like the 48th is in any hurry to get to this airhead. As Sergeant Winters is looking to get some type of spawn up there on the southern side. It's the first spawn coming off. Dapper Cat and Sergeant Johnson now moving on in. No cap progress coming in quite yet. Being contested now for 11ID. But still 48th not seeing this airhead. Sergeant Winters still moving closer. It does not look for... There's no movement here on the 48th to really try to get an angle on this airhead. So they must not know that it came down. Nobody moving in this general direction. These are just spawning off and going to hard cap. Crunchy Flare coming off. Most likely they saw that spawn here as Major Sergeant Craig moving on up. We've got about 20 seconds left on that airhead before another spawn wave happens, but Major Sergeant Craig right on top of it goes for the reload just to flex on the airhead a little bit for a second. Axis in there flexing, man. Appreciate the comments as well in the chat. Doing everything we can to provide you guys with the best version of this match that we possibly can. Be in mind, I do have another member of the the TPL stream team, and Shima is also broadcasting this matchup here for you. If you want to take a look at his stream, highly suggest you go ahead and take a look at it. You should be able to see it in the TPL livecast channel, but that way you can get a dual screen matchup here. Put one on one screen, one on the other. Split screen action here. As we look to go into the last 30 minutes here of this matchup. 11ID did end up winning this matchup previously 5-0 in about an hour and 17 minutes. So if they're going to do it again, they've got about 10-15 minutes to be able to do it here. If they look to beat that time. But with that, 48th really being concentrated down here as 11th ID still pushing down here into the cap progress. Led by Dapper Cat and company here. Now moving in, they're going to lock out this entire section of the northern top of hard cap. Or this rail really bisecting the shot here. Let's go ahead and get us a good overhead look here at what we're kind of working with here. There we go. Gives a fun bird's eye perspective as now cap progress coming in for 11ID. We can see the garrison that was there, still there along the canal. Just got marked up there by the A-ping. Will they be able to get it as a rocket sails by from somebody even off of the screen? Cap progress still coming in though for 11ID. That rocket ending up just a little bit short for Mr. Frog here. But RW Cash and moving on up. Will they be able to get it before a spawn wave comes in? He is on top of it. Nobody appears to be spawn locked at the moment. Able to get it taken out. So Garrison now down on point. Sergeant Winters and Lindsay Alex spawning in there off of that OP. They're going to need to get something right back up here. But just as we saw before, 11 ID on top of the cap, but 48th also getting bodies back into the point. We have a bombing run coming across the northern portion here for the Axis forces. How many people will it get? And will it allow them to get back up on top? Dapper Cat appears to be right in the middle of the sights there. This Red Eagle looks like, unfortunately for the 48th, nobody going to fall victim on that bombing run. And with that, going to continue putting pressure on it. 48th still scrambling to get bodies back here into the point, as cap progress on rail crossing appears to be eliminated. 11th ID back in favor of it, defending it. More and more bodies coming up from the south, but more and more cap pressure going on for 11 ID, nearing 90%. Ooh, 75% of the way cap. We do have it stalled out here. Reinforce is down at the moment for the Axis. So as it currently stands, strafing run coming in on the southern side here. Does not appear that anybody was taken out as well from that, but Hot Rail able to get a shot on the backside of the Tiger. Unfortunately for him, though, it did ricochet as another rocket comes in from Zin from Narnia all the way to the north. Cap progress coming back in favor of 11 ID as 11 ID pushes more and more bodies into the point. For now, 11 ID is going to be all in on this point, going for the 5-0 victory here in the semifinal matchup here against the 48th. Will they be able to close it out? 75% of the way cap now, as it appears a tank for the Axis forces falling on the southern side to the heavy tank on the south side by Mount Hileas here. Another heavy tank from the north coming in for the Allies, but it might not arrive in time as 11th ID appears to be in very strong position, very good position to take this 5-0 here as we're nearing final seconds here. Taking away here, 11 ID is going to end up winning this one 5-0 against 48. Go ahead and give our accommodation there to Mr. Dapper Cat. Always seemed to be on the leading edge there with Achilles and his squad, leading the charge into points, making sure the areas were open for Soapman to be able to drop airheads and various things as well. So 5-0 going in favor of 11th ID. Very much exciting here. Very good semifinal matchup here. Thought we could have actually had a 3-2 and still be playing here for a moment. 48th being very close, about 2/3 of the way capped on Canal Crossing, but 11th ID able to get back in there and defend that, ultimately leading themselves to the 5-0 victory today. So here in a moment, as we always try to do here on the Falcon Cast, I will pull up the stats here for this matchup. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put you on back to the stats matchup here. You guys to look at that as we look to try to get this pulled back up in here. Just waiting for 20 more seconds for the map to officially flip over. That means our full cap stats, our full match stats will be available to us. We'll be able to see everything split up very nicely. All right. And with that, we will go ahead and move on over here to our stats. All right. Total match time, 1 hour and 5 minutes. Beating that time. Feels like they took it as a little bit of a challenge to get that taken care of. Let's make sure I've got a little bit of music going on here in the background for you guys. Looks like I do. All right. Okay. Because it's not always fun just to listen to a blank screen and a voice in the darkness. Achilles, though, leading us out. 59 kills. Got the winner chicken dinner with the highest KD ratio. Priz coming close, 48. Dapper Cat rounding out the top 3 here at 46. Hot Rail being close. Artillery, as we saw, being very effective here for the Axis forces, with Alfonso being Warrant Officer Alfonso being there in the lead there for his side at 41 kills. Followed closely by the 11th ID Arty men as well, but being edged out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the overall stats. Infantry winning 431 here in favor of 11th ID to 348. Machine guns favor of 11th ID. Arty, we can see that going in favor of the Axis forces. Armor 44-51, so fairly evenly matched between the two of them, frankly, with the armor. So both sides going to show really how back and forth kind of this match was, but the 11th ID consistently showing themselves in the top sections of these, kind of getting them over the median areas there, which ultimately is indicative of them able to go ahead and get that win here. And my favorite part, as we look at the kill differential by team, is basically takes the number 1 player on the Axis side, number 1 player on the Ally side, and compares them together for the kill differential here between them. You can see that Warrant Officer Alfonso being the number 1 there, Achilles had a difference of 18, and we can see that for the majority of the matchups here, and it looks like, I apologize, it was a 30 versus 30s match, because I am a smart person and forgot to update that, had it in my brain to 35, but 30 versus 30, pretty much everything on the upper half of that going to 11th ID. So overall, a good matchup between these teams. Appreciate all the prep, all the work that they put into it, knowing that many hours, many thoughts, strategies went together to try to put it all together. But at the end of the day, 11th ID is able to go ahead and emerge victorious on the top. So again, we appreciate you guys all for joining us today. I've been Night Falcon. Any likes, any subscribes you guys can go ahead and give to us on the channel, much appreciated. Go ahead and share it out with your friends. If you're trying to get people interested in competitive Hell Let Loose, no better way to go ahead and get them interested in it than to show them your player running around on a screen casted by some guy sitting in a dark room talking into a screen. But that's half the fun of it anyway. So appreciate y'all joining us today. We'll see you guys next time on the battlefield. Thanks.